Okay, council, we're live on YouTube. It's not quite, oh, it's just 5:30 now. Perfect.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This Committee of Adjustment meeting of Tuesday, June the 28th, 2022 is now in session. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of the committee, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. First off, we need a motion to appoint Randy Mocha as Secretary Treasurer, stating that in accordance with Section 44.8 of the Planning Act, the committee hereby appoints Randy Mocha as the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment. Moved by Anita, seconded by Donna. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I'm calling the meeting to order. And is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, I will ask the planner to state the purpose of the meeting.
Brandy, do you want to take that? You've got the file in front of you.
Sure thing, no problem, Per. Thank you, Madam Chair. The Committee of Adjustment is holding a public hearing in accordance with Section 45 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended, in order to consider applications for relief from bylaw 2009-21, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the Township of Selwyn. The prescribed notices of the public hearing were provided by prepaid first-class mail to all residents within 60-meter radius of the subject properties. Ministries and agencies were circulated via email. The subject properties were posted with a sign advertising the public hearings. The notices were also available on the township website. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. If a person of public body does not make oral submissions at the public hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn before the variance is granted, the person or public body may not be entitled to appeal to the decision of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If you wish to be notified of the decision of Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn on the proposed minor variances, you must make written requests to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn by fax, email, or Dropbox. With that, I will move to our first application on the agenda, which is application number A0322 for the property address of 1463 Shannon Drive. The application seeks relief to reduce the minimum high water setback from 30 meters to approximately 20.8 meters to the open deck, as well as to increase the maximum lot coverage of all buildings and structures from 20% to 23.4% in order to permit the construction of a 52 square meter open deck. We found this application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance and recommend the application be approved. We do not see an archaeological assessment being warranted for this application. Comments received from our agencies. We received comment from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, who had no issues or concerns with this application. The Otonabee Region Conservation Authority did submit comment as well, recommending a planting plan as well. ORCA has required that a site plan be revised to reflect the correct floodplain elevation of 246.82 meters above sea level. There were no other comments received from either agencies or the public for this application.
Okay, thank you. I see that the agent, Nate Baldwin, is on the call. Is there anything you wish to add to this report, Mr. Baldwin?
I don't believe so.
All right. You're there to answer questions if we have any, right?
Correct.
Thank you. And Deputy Clerk, is there anyone that has put in to oppose this application?
Madam Chair, we don't have anyone else here to speak to this application.
All right, thank you very much. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will move on to the next application, which is A2522. Randy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so application number A2522 for the property at 292 Patricia Crescent. This application seeks relief to increase the maximum footprint area of the second unit from 40% to 77.5% of the principal dwelling footprint area in order to permit the conversion of an existing 90.8 square meter detached accessory building for use as a secondary unit. We found that this application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance and recommend the application for approval. An archaeological assessment is not warranted from our review. Agency comments for this application were received from Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, who had no concern, as well as the Otonabee Region Conservation Authority also had no concern with the application. We did receive a comment from a public, Jim and Kathleen Wyatt, who submitted a comment of no objection to the application either.
All right, thank you. And I see that the agent for this application, Tina Clancy's on the line. Tina, do you have anything you wish to add?
Not at this time, no.
All right, thank you. I'll bring this to the committee. Are there any questions or comments? Donna?
Yes, through you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Under the recommendation number 1, I just don't totally understand what's happening. It says secondary dwelling units, then it says to increase the maximum footprint area of the second unit from 40 to 77. So that means that the secondary unit is 77.5%. And the principal resident is only around 33%. Is that what that means?
No, the original footprint of the home will remain the same. Right now, there is a separate building on the property that is currently being used as a garage that I would like to turn into a second unit for myself to live in.
Okay, so area of the second unit would go still from 40% to 77%?
From what I understand, the amount of footprint a secondary unit can be was 40% of the original home. However, the garage that I'd like to convert works out to be 77% of the original footprint of the home, but the garage itself will not change. It just internally.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
All right, Anita?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Tina may have answered my question, but I was curious to know who would be moving into the secondary unit. Somebody's noisy. Maybe Brandy.
Your question is?
I was just wondering if it was a family member or if it was going to be like a non-family member.
I don't know if that's relevant to this application, Anita.
I'm just more or less thinking along the terms that we are in need of housing. You know, we're so short of housing. It's not a judgmental question. It's you know, we are striving towards creating more housing, affordable housing for people, and I just was curious.
Am I okay to speak?
Yes.
The property in which the garage is on is my parents' property, and I will be moving into the garage that will be converted to a second unit. As my parents age, I'd like to be closer to them to let them be home as long as possible.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions with regards to this application? Seeing none, we'll move on to A2622, please, Brandy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So application number A2622 is for the property located at 674 Edmondson Road. This application seeks to relief to increase the maximum height of a detached garage from 4 meters to 5.2 meters in order to permit the construction of a new 263.8 square meter detached garage. We found that this application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance and recommend the application for approval. We do find that an archaeological assessment is warranted for this application. Comments received from agencies were from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, who submitted a comment of no concern, as well from the Otonabee Region Conservation Authority, also submitted comments of no concern with the application. We did not receive any further comments from agencies or public for this application.
Okay, thank you. I understand that the owner, Todd Lawson, is on the line. Mr. Lawson, do you have anything you wish to add?
Madam Chair, Mr. Lawson was supposed to be in attendance, but I don't believe he is here.
Okay, I guess
And
he
I-
doesn't have anything that he wants to add.
There
Is there
you go.
anyone that has registered to oppose this application?
There's no one else here for this application.
Thank you very much. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will move on to A2822, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Application A2822 is for a property located at 202 Fiddler's Green Lane. This application seeks relief to reduce the minimum high water setback from 30 meters to 11.89 meters to an open deck, which is attached to the new dwelling. As well to reduce the minimum high water setback from 30 meters to 13.5 meters to the dwelling. And lastly, to increase the maximum lot coverage of all building and structures on the property from 20% to 21%. This is in order to permit the redevelopment of the subject property with a new 209.5 square meter dwelling, which includes a front veranda, rear covered deck, and attached garage, as well as a 8.96 square meter open deck. We found that this application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance and recommend the application for approval. In our review, an archaeological assessment is warranted for this application. Comments received from agencies were from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, again, who had no issues or concerns with the application. The Otonabee Region Conservation Authority has provided comment recommending a planting plan as well as a sedimentation and erosion control measure be implemented where appropriate prior to, during, and after construction until all unstable soil is vegetated. An ORCA permit is also required for this application. We did receive comment from Parks Canada for the Trent Severn Waterway, providing comment of no outstanding federal crown title issues for the subject lands. No further agency comments or public comments were received for this application.
Okay, thank you. And I see that the agent, Jane Humphreys, is in attendance. Is there anything you wish to add to that report?
No, there's nothing to add, except I guess to say that we're just looking for setbacks that are with the existing dwelling, so we're not trying to encroach any further.
Thank you. Is there anyone that has registered in opposition, Deputy Clerk?
We have no one else here for this application, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions, Donna?
Yes, through you. I'm looking at the site plan maps, the first page, the bottom right-hand corner, and there's a line that runs from left to right, but not straight. It dips in the center. And I just wondered if anybody knows, is that the area that should be kept as naturalized shoreline, or why that line is there?
Who would like to answer that question?
I can take that question, Madam Chair. I assume you're referring to at the north end of the survey, or at the top side, I should say. There's a line that sort of dips in the middle. That is described on the survey as the deed limit of the original survey back in 1940. So there is fill land on this property. However, as per comments from Parks Canada Trent Severn Waterway, that fill land issue has been resolved. The land now, the ownership has transferred from the federal crown to the upland property owner, and the current property line that's to be considered for this application is that straight line where it says retaining wall, which has maximum controlled water level elevation with a number there. It's a straight line. That's the property limit as it currently stands today.
Okay, thank you, Per.
Are there any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, we will move on to A2922, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Application number A2922 is for the property located at 1592 Fire Route 6. This application seeks relief to reduce the minimum high water setback from 30 meters to 12.8 meters to an open deck, which is attached to the principal dwelling, in order to permit the newly constructed 77.7 square meter open deck. We found this application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance and recommend the application for approval. An archaeological assessment is not warranted for this application. Agency comments received were from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, who once again had no concern with the application. As well, the Otonabee Region Conservation Authority submitted comments that a planting plan and compliance permit are required for this application. As well, public comments were received from 6 neighbors who have submitted comment in support of this minor variance application. And that is all for comments received.
Okay, thank you. I understand the owner is on the line. Robert Christensen, is there anything you wish to add to this report?
Oh, that seems accurate to me, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And we have a neighbor that has a question, Gwen Rose.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry?
No, I said, no, it's okay. I don't have a question at this time.
Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Are you here in support? I guess so. All right, Deputy Clerk, is there anyone that has registered in opposition?
We have no one else here for this application, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Anita?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm probably just misreading or misunderstanding, but has the deck already been constructed? Just under the way it's the way it's worded of purpose of application. It's to permit a newly constructed open deck. Does that mean that it has already been constructed or it's going to be constructed?
So through you, Madam Chair, or yes, it has been constructed already. This is seeking retroactive planning approval as well as building permit.
All right, thank you very much. And I am looking now for a motion to approve these applications. Donna and Anita, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. We have no deferred matters of correspondence. The minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting of May the 24th, 2022, moved by Andy, seconded by Anita, all in favor. That's carried. Then a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is July the 12th. Jerry and Anita, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. That ends our Committee of Adjustment meeting for this evening. Thank you.
Colleagues, our council meeting will start in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Well, I know, yeah, I'm gonna have to chat with her or tell her.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So the Committee of Adjustments meeting has ended. It started at 5:30.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. Jane was there.
Okay, brilliant.
You're in the application for Fiddler's Lane, right? Or
I
Fiddler's Green
am.
Lane?
I
Yeah.
am, Tanya.
Great. So Jane was there and everything went well and it passed.
Oh my goodness. Thank you very much.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, so is there anything that I need to do now?
No, you can follow up with our planning department if you wish.
Okay.
Okay,
Super. Thank you very much.
no worries. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, colleagues, it being 6 o'clock, and Tanya, assuming that we're all set to go,
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
okay, I will call this regular council meeting to order for Tuesday, June the 28th. And we will begin as normal with our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Nishisage and Azbek. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. And just before we do our moment of silence, colleagues, I would ask council, staff, and the public watching to remember George Jackman, who passed away on June the 13th. George served for 51 years on the Selwyn Fire Department and was an officer for over 30 years, serving as captain and chief. He was a longtime dedicated member of Lakefield United Church in the AOTS. He was an avid golfer and a member of the Lakefield Curling Club, and he will be missed. Our thoughts are with his wife, Patricia, his family and friends as they grieve their loss. On behalf of Selwyn, I would like to recognize George's contribution to the township and express our gratitude for all he did. And colleagues, I would ask that we now observe a moment of silence. Thank you, colleagues. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. The agenda has been circulated. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Madam Clerk, please note that there were none. We have our minutes from our June 7th meeting to approve, as well as our June 15th. Any discussion on any of those? Can we have a motion to approve? From Anita, seconded by Donna. All those in favor? Carried. We will now move to our deputations. I think I saw Nicole online from Engage Engineering. We'll have a discussion about the Ennismore Community Improvement Plan update. And Megan, I think you will follow that with a report, or Megan, are you going to do the report first? How are we going to do this?
I don't mind doing the report first. Can you hear me okay?
I'm sorry, you said you'd like to do the report first or not?
Yeah, I don't mind doing it first, if that's okay.
Okay, and then Nicole, you'll follow it up with your presentation?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. This is Nicole. She's with Engage Engineering. We've been working with them in regards to the Ennismore CIP public realm improvements. You'll hear a bit more from Nicole, as well as a recommendation, which I know that you would have seen in the email this morning and through my report. Please welcome Nicole. Go ahead.
Thank you, Megan. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell and members of the council for having me here today. My name is Nicole Cameron, and I'm a project manager from Engage Engineering. I've been working with the township on a revitalization project in Ennismore, and I would like to share the final draft plan for Ennis and Terra Road with you today. These slides will help to expand on the staff report that was provided to members of the council. So these objectives were developed over the course of the project and in conjunction with several meetings with members of the public, including business owners here in Ennismore. The objectives of the project are to improve the pedestrian safety through the addition of sidewalks and pavement markings, provide rest areas and wayfinding signs, maintain boulevard parking for community events and businesses, and to add lighting to increase visibility and accessibility. The original 2015 CIP contemplated works at the intersection of Terra and Ennis Road and sidewalk to Earl Avenue. Engage Engineering was asked to look at extending the sidewalk on the north side of Ennis Road to approximately the community center, as well as some improvements to the area of the St. Martin School crossing area. Engage Engineering There were numerous comments and strong public feedback stating that the public parking along the north side of Ennis Road should be maintained, and there was some opposition to a standard concrete sidewalk being constructed there. People felt it was not needed and would not be financially responsible. In consideration of this public feedback and to spread the budget out for these proposed works over a longer period of time,
we decided to focus on part 1 of the project, and that is what I will be sharing with you here this evening. So part 1 is proposed for 2023, which includes the intersection improvements and sidewalk to Earl Avenue. Part 2 may be considered in the future, would include barrier curb and sidewalk adjacent to St. Martin's School. And part 3, curb and sidewalk from east limit of Sullivan's General Store for 500 meters east, is subject to the relocation of hydro poles to maintain the existing boulevard and add concrete sidewalk. Here I have included the new limits of the project shown in a dashed magenta line. The scope of the work is mainly in the area of Ennis and Tara Road, extending to Earl Avenue to the west. The intersection improvements include proposed concrete sidewalk, curb and gutter, drainage improvements, street lighting, decorative walls, rest areas, and perennial landscaping. The planned schedule would be detailed design complete this summer, final cost estimate and tender this fall, construction to begin next spring. The next 2 slides are an overview of the civil engineering component of the project. The westerly limit begins at Earl Avenue and includes a 1.5 meter wide concrete sidewalk with some improvements to the edge of the existing roadway and an asphalt gutter to capture the flows going into a catch basin and outletting into a ditch. Here the design continues with the proposed concrete sidewalk extension from Earl Avenue, construction of catch basins to capture runoff, which will be connected into the existing storm sewer, pavement markings that delineate safe pathways for pedestrians. I'll note here that the proposed area of travel from Ennis and Tara Road would be either to cross to the south and to the east as a school route or somebody trying to get to local businesses, or from the north side of the road across to the east and down to the south. And that would be to get to this existing concrete sidewalk, as there currently isn't an existing concrete sidewalk to the north. These design elements have been included in multiple conversations with property owners on all 4 corners, and some of the elements have been changed based on public feedback. The area adjacent to the post office was discussed with the property owner, and changes have been made throughout the process of the design. This process will ensure that the construction of the project is successful and meets the needs of the people who will be using these facilities every day. The design has been adjusted throughout the project to limit the impact to businesses while providing valuable community improvements. This is a quick overview, approximately 2 slides here, of the landscape design. The landscape design adds the element of beauty, revitalization, and culture of the community throughout the implementation of Celtic-inspired walls, low water, low maintenance perennial plantings, concrete paths with benches, and lampposts to enhance the nightscape and increase user navigability. Here, the landscape design continues, and we show a bit more detail in terms of the crossings and stamped concrete at all 4 quadrants, the decorative benches, and some of the plantings. The preliminary cost estimate is broken down to site prep, storm sewer, base and surface works of the road, the electrical engineering component, and the landscape component, with a total, including contingencies and HST, of approximately $380,000. Our recommendation would be that the Ennismore Community Improvement Plan public realm upgrades be considered in 3 stages. Part 1, proposed for 2023, would be the intersection improvements and sidewalk to Earl Avenue. Part 2 would be the future works, including barrier curb and sidewalk adjacent to St. Martin's School. And Part 3, also future works, would be curb and sidewalk from east limit of Sullivan's General Store for 500 meters, subject to the relocation of hydro poles to maintain existing and add concrete sidewalk. Recommendation 2, that council endorse moving forward with the final design of works identified in Part 1 in the fall of 2022, and that the final tender approval be considered by council for inclusion in the 2023 capital budget, which will include a funding plan at the December 8th, 2022 capital budget meeting. And 3, that the given Part 2 and 3 include the need for utility relocation in coordination with the County of Peterborough, who has jurisdiction over the roadway. These components be considered at a future time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Megan, did you want to add anything to that?
No, that was a great presentation. Thank you, Nicole. Just kind of wanted to remind council about the public consultation that we undergone a little bit more. As Nicole mentioned, we did have individual one-on-one meetings with the homeowners and business owners on the corner of Ennis and Tara Roads, which led us to some design changes leading up to the Public Information Center, which we then hosted at the Ennismore Arena and gathered quite a bit of feedback from that as well. So as Nicole mentioned, as feedback was brought in regarding the plans, things kind of got changed around a little bit, but I think we've come to a really good place in terms of the design work and the recommendations moving forward.
Thank you, Megan. Donna?
Yes, thank you very much. I like the plan. I'm just concerned that we've had a lot of community concern about crossing from, and now the side that Sullivan's on, I've lost my directions. Is that north? And the side that the school on, is that south? Whatever that is. People don't seem to be interested in walking all the way down to the Four Corners crossing and then going up to the school. And I realized that it's a county road and staff was going to have, I thought we're going to have some discussions with the county to see if there's anything else we could do to help with that crossing if they continue to do so, which I expect they will.
Okay. Have those discussions taken place yet, Megan?
I believe that Ange and Nicole had actually spoken with the county and kind of brought forward some of those concerns. So I'll let either Nicole or Ange kind of speak up on that one.
Yeah, I can follow up, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we definitely have had conversations with the county about the crossing at the school. There is a school safety zone at St. Martin's with pavement markings. There's also the speed awareness as you come into the hamlet. So the county has implemented the school safety zone there. The students coming from Earl Avenue, the best place for them to cross is at the intersection. That is the safest place. The students that live on the opposite side of St. Martin's on the north side, they have asked for increased, I guess, pedestrian safety measures at the school. And I think that could be accomplished in part if we were to move forward with some of the barrier curbing that we'd like to do at St. Martin's School. It would prevent cars from parking there, but that will require a little bit more work and engineering to make that happen, and we'll have to coordinate that with the county.
Okay, so that will not happen in 2023 for sure.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Donna. Anybody else comments? Anita and then Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm assuming it's a lovely design that all accessibility features have been incorporated, for instance, at the sort of brown curved part and also the sidewalks. So I'm assuming that accessibility for people in wheelchairs or walkers or visual impairments have been taken into consideration at the four corners there?
That is correct.
Thank you, Anita. Jerry?
Thank you. Through you to, I guess possibly Ange at this point, or Nicole. I guess Ange, you've been dealing with the county. So I guess, can we go to the county for money on this since we are kind of improving their road, or is it sort of balance out down the road when they do the work on their end, whenever we get to that? We are making the road a little bit safer for everybody as well. So is there county funds available, I guess is the question.
For part one works, Jerry?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll have to have a conversation with the county about that. We're hoping that they may contribute to some of the costs. Certainly a lot of the sidewalk work and any of the CIP improvements, that will be the township's responsibility. But anything within the road itself, if we can demonstrate to them that it's improving their road, we're hoping that they will come on board.
Okay, thank you. And if I can get a follow-up, Andy, I guess to Nicole, saw a brief slide there with the costs. When were those costs calculated? Because I saw there was about 380 and with a 12% contingency. When were those costs calculated?
Those costs were calculated this week, and they're a very high level preliminary cost.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna.
Yes, thank you. Through to, I lost her name, Nicole. The 380, we lost that slide because you had it. Is that for just part one?
Yes, that is just for part one.
Okay. I guess part one is the most extensive work, really. The others would be, well, I forget what the figures were, but that is pretty extensive work.
Yeah, so two of the major components were $70,000 for the electrical, and that would be to support the lighting component, and $73,000 for all of the landscape features, which would include the tinted concrete benches, concrete platforms for the benches, planters, plantings, and decorative walls.
So if you had to cut some money, let's say the budget was tight next year, what could you cut back on that 380? Anything?
I would defer that comment to the township.
Yeah, so we will, we'll put this to tender, Donna, and we will provide a funding plan as part of the capital budget discussion in December. We will also take a look at any grant opportunities that might be available to support the project. There can be money for these types of things. As you know, we've done a few projects in Lakefield using RED funding. There's also Trillium funding. So we'll take a look at all different funding sources, and anything that potentially could be deferred in the project, we'll have a look at that as well if we need to. We're hoping that we could have a comprehensive plan though and implement everything at the same time.
Yeah, thank you. You know that this has been a desire of mine for many years, so I wouldn't like it to be cut back, but if it had to be a little bit and we got most of it in the first year, that would be great. And Megan, you look for those grants.
She's good at looking for grants.
I will do, Donna, will do.
Okay, Sherry.
Thank you for your staff has worked really hard on this, and I'm glad to see that there was a lot of public input. And I really like the plan. I think it will do good things for Ennismore. And thanks, Donna, for pushing for this over the years. The motion that Angie sent to us, is that the one that is being recommended by staff that we proceed with tonight?
Yeah, so the recommendation in Nicole's presentation is the same recommendation that was provided to council earlier today.
Okay, so if Donna wants to move it, I would second it.
Donna, you want to move that? Okay, and Sherry's going to second it, and at the same time, we should be receiving the presentation as well. So receive the presentation and then that motion. Moved by Donna, seconded by Sherry. Any additional comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Carried. Well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, colleagues. And
Mr. Mayor, could we just have a motion to receive Megan's report as well?
And to receive Megan's report. Okay, so let's include that in Donna and Sherry's motion if they're okay with that. And everybody's okay? Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All three. Okay, very good. Thank you. Andy. Okay. Thank you. We will then ask, is there any questions for question period?
No questions.
Okay, we will then move to our municipal officers and staff reports. And once again, we have Lane going over the asset management plan. Lane?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Assume council can hear me okay?
Yeah, speak up just a bit if you can, Lane.
Sure, thank you. The report before council tonight is the final draft of the asset management plan as drafted under Ontario Regulation 588-17. Of course, this report builds on work completed in the last series of asset management plans that Shell and approved, developed under the province's Building Together framework. And it's the next step in long-term financial planning in Shell. As I've noted over the last 2 months of presentations related to the plan, this is a point-in-time plan.
I seem to have lost you. You disappeared, Lane.
We'll just troubleshoot here, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll just hold on for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, yes. Okay. So As I mentioned, this is a continuation of the process where really consistent data management and integration of approved plans just become further entrenched in how we do our business. Of course, our ultimate goal is that all of our various interrelated plans mesh together and they make everybody's job easier, really. Easier in terms of planning that next big project, and of course, having the financial ability to consistently fund these projects as we move forward. I have discussed various aspects of the plan with council at the presentations over the last few months. Tonight, I'd like to draw attention to two charts, which are in the documents that were circulated to council. Page 50 is the investment gap analysis as it relates to anticipated investments and our typical annual investments that basically boils that down into percentages. And page 53, which is the completeness and confidence chart as it relates to data. These two areas of work will receive a good portion of our effort over the coming months and really indeed over the next few annual work plans. Council will see these as common activities. With respect to asset management planning and updates, they will impact future budgets. We will require data updates. There'll be additional asset management reporting and reliance on expertise and investments to support levels of service as required. And with respect to investment gaps, they will need to also be addressed in future budgets. The levels of service discussion will need to take place. And by July of 2025, a full financial strategy will need to be developed and approved by council. And if I can just talk a little bit about the levels of service discussion, a good example of that would be when we look at our roads, for instance. And so we have a very good road network. Our PCI is at 73.3, and our consultants deem that to be a very good road network. But if the community has input and council wants to improve that road network, then what would it cost to take the roads from a good rating to an excellent rating? How much more dollars would be at stake? And what type of risk matrix would we have to run that through to determine whether those levels of service are appropriate or not? So that's the type of discussion that will be had over the next several years as we work towards a full financial strategy. I think I'll leave my comments there. I'd like to thank council, of course, for their questions and comments as we put these plans together over the last while. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Selwyn team, specifically Adam Tobin and my team. He's worked really across all areas of core assets, data management, costing information, and working with our engineering team, who's provided a lot of quality information at the very last minute, really. And Megan, definitely for her work in producing the final document. So as a requirement of the regulation, I've been deemed as the executive lead under the regulation and under the Selwyn Asset Management Plan. So really this presentation and my cover report reflect endorsement of the plan. While I'd be prepared to answer any questions of council on this final draft, I would then recommend approval of the plan by council. But I'd turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor, for any further questions.
Thank you very much. Councilors, who would like to go? Jerry.
Thank you. Through you to Lane. Lane, a bit of a softball answer for you here for job preservation for yourself. But how confident are you that we can maintain the service levels that we have right now with all our roads and networks? And what we've got inside this plan? And do you see any major shortfalls, if you will? Now, the easy answer is no, there won't be a problem. The honest answer is what I'm waiting for. So where do you see us in the next 5 years?
Okay, thank you for that question. With respect to the investment gap chart, that's probably where I'd look to first. There's a few additional comments here. So when we look at the roads network, that's always a question that I have for the engineers, because since really 2002, they have noted that we have significantly underinvested in our road network. Yet every 5 years, our road adequacy seems to improve or stay the same. So with respect to roads, I think we do need to maybe provide more for preservation management. I think our construction figure overall may be in not too bad a shape. Structures, definitely we have underinvested, because as I mentioned to council at the last meeting, some of these structures we didn't even realize we needed to take care of them, because it was anticipated the county was going to take care of those. There's that small gap in there in structures. We're very fortunate that we don't have bridges, which the county has a lot of. So with the structures and the condition that they're in, we just need to start investing there. There's nothing that's really scary out there in terms of the risk matrix for those structures, but we do need to start setting aside funds there. And then with water, wastewater, and stormwater, there are some additional comments there, but I may turn council's attention to the data gaps chart, because those three areas are areas where in our treatment facilities and in our treatment ponds for stormwater, we have fairly low confidence in terms of our cost and age. So that's something that will consume a bit of our work from now till probably budget time, trying to get those up to date to see if the estimates that we have in this plan are actually accurate or not. And then really once we get that in place, we'll be able to start to put together a little bit better plan in terms of how much we're setting aside. Yeah, in terms of that big question that you asked, because of the investment gap that's there for structures and the low rating, I wouldn't really want to say we're in good shape. I think I'd want to say that we need to have regard for some of these other financial mechanisms that we've outlined in the plan. I would like to have a more fulsome discussion with council at budget time with respect to capital levies and the importance of those moving ahead. And despite the fact that I've outlined in the report that debt is not something that we anticipate, if we were to run into some situations at our treatment facilities, then as we have did in the past, we may have to consider debt. So that's a long-winded answer that maybe didn't answer it directly, but what the best I can do with the information that I have.
No, and that's fair, Lynn. I appreciate that. And I'm sure, and council's all been there for your budget presentations, riveting stuff, I might add. But I'm sure with your financial management and your financial management skills and your ability to put the reserves in there, I'm sure we'll be in good shape going forward. You know, if you don't, you know, that's the question, you lose your job, right? So I've got every confidence in you.
Thank you, Jerry. Other comments? Sherry.
It's amazing how much work has had to go into preparing all of these. And I hope they won't just sit on the shelf somewhere. That's all complete. On page 33, the sanitary assessment database, that chart, I can't read it. If it's important, I honestly can't see it. So I don't know if there's the intention to make it bigger, or is there a place we can see it where we can zoom in?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, really, yeah, I recognize that the council wouldn't be able to see that. It's really meant as more of an illustration, and it's actually just a picture of what the chart looks like. And actually, with most of the columns actually even greatly reduced, so that it just is to illustrate the type of data that we do have at our disposal when we actually get the work completed and when we do some proper condition rating. So no, it was really just intended to show an image to council of the type of data that we have access to.
I see. Okay. All right. That makes sense. And going forward, there has been talk at times where the county was having discussions with the township about gifting us roads in our township that are now county that may become a township road. Would that necessitate having to make changes to these documents by adding roads or subtracting them?
Yes, to you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, definitely there is a two-way discussion there. It isn't necessarily just the county giving roads to us, for sure. We have roads that have average annual daily traffic counts, which would definitely justify them being a county road. At the same time, we recognize that there are some county roads that really just should not be county roads and should be township roads. So there are processes in place, policies that the county have, and discussions that we've had with them over the years. But definitely, this plan would have to change if roads change between jurisdictions or as subdivisions come on stream as well. And we see that from time to time as well.
Thank you. Donna?
Yes, just piggybacking on that idea about township versus county roads. I never could understand why the first part of Terra from Yankee Line to the Four Corners is township. And then beyond that, it's county. Does anybody know why that is?
I guess I would look at that and say that's probably just historical, and that's like some of the roads that I was chatting about here just recently with some of our members. Yeah, it's history, and it's the process that we have in place that makes it very difficult to actually exchange roads between jurisdictions. Probably the best example is in at the third line. If you're going Chemung Road, if you turn left, it's a county road. If you turn right, it's our road right there before the Hyundai dealership. That road, I believe, last count had the highest traffic count of all of our roads in our whole network, and that's definitely going to get higher volumes with the Lily Lake subdivision. So that would be a prime candidate for us to consider being a county road.
Thanks, Lane.
Other comments? Okay, I had a couple comments to make. First of all, I want to echo my colleagues' thanks for all of the work and effort and energy that has been put in there. And to point out to those who may be watching us, this asset management report is sort of halfway through the process. It isn't anywhere near the end of the process. There are still 2 more phases to go through, and there's a whole set of assets that we have yet to evaluate. So all of our facilities, all of our equipment, we haven't done any of that work yet. We're not required to yet. I believe it's 2024, if my memory serves me right. And you can correct me, Lane, if I'm wrong. So there's still a whole big piece, and anything over $5,000 needs to get evaluated. So there's still a big chunk to be done. And then after that's done, there's the financial strategy, the life cycle management, and relating that to the service levels that we want. That's all yet to come. And so there's still a big job to do. I wanted to also make note, Lane, that you serve us well with your emphasis on data. This plan is, I believe, will stand the test of time because it's going to be based on hard evidence of where we are at on our conditions. So I want to mention that and appreciate it. The work plan for 2023 is going to be filled with asset management out of your department for sure, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I did want to mention, though, 2 things. One, and you brought it up yourself, Lane, chart 50, and to Jerry's point as well, on the surface, Lane, it would indicate that we have had an underinvestment over the last several years. You point out the roads, that part of that has to also include, what are the results. But from a financial standpoint, it would appear, and I realize it's at a preliminary stage, that the township may have to increase its investment in our capital assets. Would that be a fair conclusion to look at from chart 50?
Yeah, I think that would be a fair comment.
And so that's something that the next council will have to get its mind around. The other thing as well is, as we grow as a township and we build new infrastructure, it then becomes part of our inventory, and we will have to be looking at a reinvestment cost for that. So every time we build something, it's going to go onto the list, and it's going to put a demand going forward. So that's something that will always need to be considered. And so I think that's important as well. So those were my comments, other than to thank you again for the work. And it's going to be a big part of budget discussions for years going forward. And anyways, that's all I had to say. Did you want to add anything before we move a motion to endorse this plan?
I don't really want to add anything further about the report, other than I would just echo the comments there with respect to future budgets. And I guess the one comment there is that we'll provide a little bit better structure maybe to our budget discussions when we're talking about long-term capital. My hope is that we build from a 5-year to a 10-year capital program, and then more so, and that's the type of thing that we can present to council on an annual basis. And definitely things change and the infrastructure needs come to the surface, but it will provide maybe a little bit better and more structured process for future councils.
Thank you. Does somebody want to move approval? Anita, seconded by Jerry. All those in favor? Jerry. Okay, thank you, Lane. Our next staff report is the draft council communicator. Tanya.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for that. I'm going to get Megan actually to take the lead on the report. I'm just off site and don't want to lose connection, so she's going to go ahead and lead that.
Okay, Megan, you're up.
Through you, thank you, everyone. You have received a copy of the council communicator. Just a reminder that this is an 8-page annual newsletter that kind of goes out to our residents. We have about 14,000 copies that are printed, which are sent directly to the residents. And there are some print copies available for council to distribute individually as well. You'll see that this year a main focus is election day, of course, and you'll see the same council letters to the public and many of our projects that we've been able to oversee over the last year or so. I welcome any feedback, any reviews. I have received some feedback already, but welcome to hear any that you have for me before we get this thing printed and sent out.
Okay, I think everybody will probably have a comment. So Donna had her hand up first, and then Sherry had her hand up second. And then Anita, and then Jerry.
Thank you, Megan, for all the hard work. This is a really good job. I have quite a few comments, but they're just small additions, so don't think I'm being negative. My first one is on page 4. The Ennismore juveniles finished first. And then it says that they earned a spot in the All Ontario OMHA Championships in early April. And we've got room to add what happened there, if they won or if they didn't win. Could we do that? Because it seems to be not complete.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that and see kind of where they landed.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, do you want me to go on for a little while?
Yeah, go through yours first.
Okay. So right beside it, the Secret Garden in Ennismore. So the Secret Garden project at the Ennismore Waterfront Park. Oh, no, we don't need that. So in collaboration with the township's public works and local volunteers. You don't mention the Ennismore Garden Club, and they're really the local volunteers. So I think they would be really upset if we didn't say their name.
Perfect. I will add that in.
Okay. So that's all on that page. The page 6, Curve Lake First Nation and Lakefield Chiefs shared history. Then the part under it, Curve Lake First Nation and Lakefield Chiefs. That print is very small, and in this copy, I can read it, but I don't think that some people would be able to read it. So I'm wondering if that's necessary to have in, or if we could make it bigger and take out the land acknowledgement statement.
I'll see what we can do in terms of getting that a bit larger.
Okay, I don't know what other people feel about that. And oh, I had a question about such a cute picture with the dog with his head under the red blanket. Fireworks reminder. I thought we said that fireworks could only be let off, for sake of a better term, at the times that the municipality were doing fireworks. Am I mistaken, or are people allowed to do them at any time?
I think you might be referring to when fireworks are being let off on township properties. I believe, I can't remember exactly, but whether a permit is required or not. However, people are permitted still to emit fireworks on their own private property. Where this is just kind of a reminder saying, hey, just remember there are some people and some animals that maybe have negative impacts on fireworks.
Okay. I don't think they'll care, but it's always good to say it anyway. I think that's all that I have, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. Sherry?
Thank you. Great job with the paper. I had sent you a request to put another photo in to do with the Peterborough County Awards, and I'm curious where you're thinking of putting it.
I have a couple ideas, but I kind of wanted to see in terms of everyone what their feedback and reviews were, and then that'll kind of lead me to the best option.
All right, do you want to come back to that after you've heard from everyone? Because that's really my only input to this.
That one might take a little bit of readjusting, and it might take a bit more time than just being able to figure it out through the meeting. But I can give you a rough idea of what I'm thinking.
And it's
Oh, sorry, after the review.
okay.
Anita?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make sure that staff had gotten my marked up copy of the council communicator. I think I dropped it off yesterday afternoon.
Yes, I did receive it, Anita.
Okay, and it makes sense, my comments?
Yes, perfectly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Jerry?
Yeah, it looks good. I'm just a little disappointed nobody else used the word haters in their comments, but anyway.
Thank you, Jerry. I echo, this is a really great job. Appreciate all the work that was done on it. And I think Sherry's idea about that extra photograph is a good one. That takes it back to you, Megan.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. I'll definitely be incorporating all of that into the paper before it is published. At first glance, just with things being moved around, I'm thinking if it were possible to get Norm Kyle's photo in located similarly with his photo of the fire department awards. I think that gives a little bit more context. But until I start moving things around, I won't really have a clear view on that just yet.
Okay, Sherry?
Will we get a chance to see the final product then?
So, sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I may, it's Tanya. So, Sherry, I think we can pretty much confirm that Norm, the Peterborough County Awards photo will be in the paper. Is there a specific location that you want to have the photo? Because if not, if you could, we'll work around it and ensure that the photo's in. It's just guaranteeing a location makes it tough once we start incorporating all the changes and page layouts will be impacted. I just wasn't sure if you wanted to, if it's important for it to be in a specific location for you, or if just confirmation that it will be in the paper.
I think confirmation it will be in the paper, but not so small that it's difficult to identify the parties.
Fair enough. I think we can ensure that it's certainly legible. Well, that people are going to be able to identify that it's council, and the intention would be to have it with a cut line, so that people would know the context of the photo, and then we'll put it in the best place possible where it could be the largest possible.
Okay, I appreciate that. I did want to comment too on the front page. That's a great photo. It's interesting, it's colorful, and it puts a focus on our business, which I like to see. And I had a comment about the map on the back, and it was, why are we putting this in here again? There are a lot of new people that have moved into our township, and I think it's important for the new people to see just how big Selwyn is. It isn't just composed of the village of Lakeville or certain other areas of the township. So, and it's useful information when it comes to who is in charge of what roads in our township. So I'm happy to see it back in there. Thank you.
Yes, we were in kind of the same line of thinking. We do definitely have a lot of new residents over the last few years with COVID. And I believe also last year we did not include the map. So kind of refreshing this again. And we still get constant requests when in the office for a copy as well. So this is quite helpful for us.
Super. Okay, any other comments? Okay, not seeing any, then I think we just need to receive that. By Anita, Donna, all in favor? Carry. Okay, colleagues, we're at consent items. Anybody have an item they'd like pulled? Donna.
5B and 6A2.
Okay, is particular 1 and 6A?
Number 2.
6A2, okay. So 5A and 6A2. Okay. Anybody else? And Anita.
Under the correspondence report, 6A3.
6A3. Okay, anybody else? Okay, we will start then with 5A, Donna.
Thank you. I think this goes to Rick. It's regarding the reports on the landfill sites, and in particular the Ennismore one. It says in it, I think it's from Kane Vienna, I can't remember the engineer, sources of leachate are not totally attributed to the landfill leachate. So I'm just wondering, is this leachate coming from septic systems? Or do
No, I wouldn't think so, Donna. It'd be maybe a ground source, like a spring or that. They haven't had anything. We backed off the testing because they aren't finding anything there.
Okay, and then I have just a second part to that question, Rick. It said ground flow is ultimately expected to flow into Young's Cove, a locally significant wetland. Is there anything that we can do to prevent this? And what will happen if it does occur?
I don't think so. That's all sand there. I don't know if you recall behind Kavanaugh's there, that's all a sand pit. So like, nothing's changed there. That's what it's always been that I'm aware of.
Okay, so if it flows into a significant wetland, it just does, and there's not much we can do about it?
No, well, that's what cleans the water anyways. Your wetlands, that's why they don't want you to disturb them. That's what cleans all the water and everything up.
Okay, I won't worry about that then. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And then 6A2, I think, is yours as well.
Right, I think everybody probably got an email notification, but if they didn't, I just wanted to report that Staff Sergeant Chris Galeazza has been promoted to the rank of Commander of the Peterborough Detachment. And I was wondering if everybody would be in agreement in sending him a letter of congratulations from our council. And also, in addition to that, it might be appropriate to send Dave Smith, our member of provincial parliament, a congratulatory letter as well. So I just leave that to my colleagues if they would agree with that.
Sherry, you had your hand up on this matter, or?
Donna and I are thinking along the same lines. I was going to make the same suggestion.
Okay, so Donna will move that we send a letter of congratulations to Chris and to Dave, and Sherry will second it. All those in favor? Sherry. Okay, and that means Anita is going to talk about 6A3, I believe, right?
Yeah, this is just the annual report from the Peterborough Police. It does touch upon Area 5 Lakefield on page 12, which is a Lakefield snapshot. So I think for any Lakefield residents out there who are listening or who will be listening at some point, it's a good read. It talks about the increase year over year, and there has been increases ranging from 15% increase in vehicle collisions to almost 90% increase in traffic complaints year over year. So I would just encourage our Lakefield residents to check out the annual report from the Peterborough Police.
Thank you, Anita. Can I have a motion to receive those consent items? Moved by Anita, seconded by Donna. All in favor? Carried. Okay, no petitions or portfolio reports. Donna?
Thank you. The library on June the 30th will be opening the Ennismore pollinator garden. This is, no, that's not, that's just a project with our program coordinator and the Ennismore librarian. And there's also ties in with the First Nations and the Truth and Reconciliation idea. And there will be a demonstration with a group of children on Thursday, June the 30th at 1:30 at the Ennismore Library, of course, outside, if anybody's interested in going to see that. Also, the library is partnering with Community Care to have a book, clothing, and bake sale at the Shamrock Festival, which is on the Sunday. I just didn't write the date, but I think everybody knows that. The link, you'd be happy to hear, I just crossed out 2 rows of statistics. I think I got a little carried away. So the May ridership, Route 31, 368, Route 32, 118, with a total ridership of 486. Year to date, Route 31, 1989, Route 32, 973, total 2962. And for the month of June, Route 31, 221, Route 32, 55. And I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you, Don. Sherry, Economic Development.
The only thing I have to report is that the physician recruitment committee has hired a full-time recruiter for our area, Kevin Kirkpatrick, and he's on the job now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Jerry, Public Works, Rec.
Public or Park and Rec, Jazz Fest is just in 11 days on the 9th. Shamrock Fest on the 10th is coming up. The Park and Rec crew did a great job of cleaning up the trails and getting all the crap off them for in preparation of everybody coming. The mass exodus of the city should start this probably today for everybody up here for the summer now. So everything's ready to go. All marina services are going, including the bike rentals. And as far as Park and Public Works, again, those guys went above and beyond getting rid of all the wood and helping to clean up. They're getting the roads ready to chip on Irish Line and Maloney this week, and they're still working on some trees that are still down that people need help cleaning up with. The last free day, I believe, was today for the brush stuff. And the clear bag, 99.9% good now. So we're pretty much at 100%, and yeah, pretty good. That's fantastic.
Yeah, 99.9% on anything is pretty fantastic. Anita.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. About the only thing I have is with regards to the continuing plans for the homecoming, Lakefield Homecoming, August 5th to 7th. There'll be 2 events at the Legion. One is a welcoming reception on the Friday night, and then a party on the patio on the Saturday. The sidewalk sale on the Saturday. It's a 200th anniversary of the settling of the Lakefield region. So we're hoping that our Heritage Committee will be putting together a booth with that, as well as some information about the properties on the Heritage Register. There's a golf tournament on the Saturday, memorial plaque placement with a bench, a memorial bench, and a plaque and a rock, a stone. Selwyn Library is actually coming on board. They're going to be doing organizing a story walk and book scavenger hunt at Cenotaph Park from the Friday to the Sunday, and there will be a prize. The midget lacrosse team is apparently celebrating their 50th anniversary, so they're hoping for a reunion. The Village Lions will be having a dance and beer garden on the Saturday night, and apparently they've gotten lots of calls already, emails with regards to that. And then on the Sunday, the Lakefield Lions will be putting on a classic car show, and there's still other plans that we're working on.
Great, thank you. I don't have a lot to report in mine. Tomorrow, the county will try to approve for sending to the province the official plan. So, and I noted that the change that we had requested in terms of lot creation was incorporated in the latest version of the plan. County also intends tomorrow to address the next phase in off-road vehicles and the regulations that would surround that for the county. From public health, we continue to have a low risk profile for COVID, although we did have a case of monkeypox that was reported. And I'd just like to take a moment to note that the formal announcement today that we have a new CAO at Orca, Jeanette Levy-Smith, will be taking up her duties, I believe, on July the 5th. Dan, some time ago, Marinick announced his retirement. And also in adding on to congratulations to Dave. Also, congratulations to the new provincial cabinet that was sworn in this week. Lots of familiar faces, including that Mr. Clark continues to be the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Provide some continuity for us as a township and others across the province. So that is all I have to report. Sherry?
Thank you for you. I had a question for Anita, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been asking people if they're going to some of the different celebrations for the Lakefield Homecoming. And the answer I'm getting from people is, well, I'm not really from here. So is all of this just for people coming in that used to live in Lakefield, or is it for everyone that lives in the township? Because if it is, maybe that message should be getting out somehow. People are feeling they may want to be involved, but they feel that they don't. As they said, they're not from here.
Yeah, so Stacy is our media person, and I know that she's been working on media releases and has done a lot of the socials, whatever it's called. But yeah, so it's for people that are descended from people who grew up in the area, people who went to school here, people who have cottages or have had cottages in the past, people who have just driven through, or it's for anybody who has any kind of connection to the village, really. So for instance, like if Bridge North was to have a homecoming, well, I go to Bridge North and I would be more than happy to go to a Bridge North homecoming kind of idea, sort of thing. So it's across the board, whoever wants to come and has, even if they've only dipped their toes in the water here.
Thank you. And did I see your hand go up, Donna?
Yes, I was just wondering, it probably wouldn't take too much space. Is there anywhere where we could put that in the council communicator?
I'd have to sort of review what it was that in my council in my piece in the council communicator. I can't quite recall because I handed in my hard copy.
I just looked quickly, and maybe you did mention it in yours. If you did, that's fine.
Sorry, Anita, you actually did mention the homecoming.
Yeah, yes, I did.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see it here.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. And that takes us to any other new or unfinished business? Yes, Donna.
It was brought to my attention a week or so ago that the Ennismore Community Center is 50 years old from the first iteration of it this year in 2022. And I did speak to Angie to see if there was any small thing that we could do to acknowledge that. So I was just wondering, Angie, if you had any time to think about that.
Yeah, sorry, Donna, I hadn't had a chance to chat with Mike about that. Definitely we'll have a conversation with them, and maybe there's a way we can work with some of the user groups when they're starting back in the fall to recognize that anniversary.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, anybody else? Not seeing any. I will look for a confirming bylaw. Sherry, seconded by Donna, all in favor, carried. And I will look for a motion to adjourn from Jerry, seconded by Anita, all those in favor. Thank you very much, colleagues. Our next meeting is July the 12th. We'll see you all then. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, staff. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.